So ladies, of course, as you all know, I know you guys know Sister and you know Holly, but sometimes you don't get to know Jen because she oftentimes keeps her camera off. But this all the time. So she willingly said yes to this morning to being on camera. And so we're just going to share our hearts with you guys this morning and what our conversations recently have been with Father. So who would like to start?
I'm sure Holly.
Go ahead.
I'm sure Holly. Yeah, it was such a big question. Like when Kim said that, I thought, well, what have you been sharing? This or this or this? Because I've been in a season I'm super thankful for where I've been hearing from him directly, but also where I have been able to be with people. And I think every time we're in conversation, like even this weekend, as y'all were here, it's like, oh yes, and he said this, and he said this through you, and this through you, and this directly to me. And so it was a hard question. So last night I went to bed and we stayed up kind of late, and I went to bed and I was laying in there, and I was taken, like I just thought, okay, I'm going to sleep in possibility, and to sleep in this place of possibility. And then I thought, then I'm going to wake up and you're going to share what I'm supposed to share. So, okay, God, here's the plan. You're going to tell me what to talk about. So in that place, though, whenever all I kept hearing over and over again, and I'll tell you the background in a second, but the words, I dwell in possibilities. I dwell in possibilities. And so then I thought, okay, I'll sleep in that place, and then I'll wake up with what to share. And then I woke up this morning, I dwell in possibilities. I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to share. And so I think that's the piece I wanted to share with everybody. And I know Carmen's not on, but I had her in my heart and thought, where is that place of possibilities that we can take each other into? And I told these guys whenever they arrived, I just had some dental stuff done, and it had messed up my kind of my sinuses, and I was just kind of a mess and going, we have people coming and I have toilet paper up my nose and this is so bad. And then I was whatever, like blowing my nose all the time from it. And when I was with them, I was like, oh, I feel better. I feel whole. I feel like it wasn't happening. And then I went up to my room and it started happening again. And I realized that oneness that you're talking about, that oneness, and I thought we need people. And so just as was it, yeah, Susan, I believe, was saying that she was carrying people from the group. I thought the same thing was happening, where I thought, okay, I'm going to carry them in. And so in that place, I thought, okay, as I dwell in possibilities, I want to carry everyone into that place. And where that phrase came from, Jen and I and some other friends had a time to get together. Jeannie, who's on. So Jen and I and Jeannie and another friend had gotten together, and we were just doing a time just connecting with God. And as we were doing that, we were taken into this place that I felt like we all felt were like was possibilities, that was this place within him. And I didn't really know, that was a real place. I don't know, like it just felt real at the time. And then it was in Texas when we did that. And so as we were driving home, I was hearing over and over, and it's an Emily Dickinson poem. And Chris Carter had referred to it once in a class, but it was this poem. And I just kept hearing over and over, I dwell in possibilities. I dwell in possibilities. So that was a couple of a few months ago. And so then for a while I was going in, and I was like at 9, I was laying in bed and I was seeing myself zipped into this tent of possibility, like a hovering place. And so this morning, because I thought, okay, I could share, like we've been talking about so much, like I could share about different things, but this morning I thought, no, this is where we dwell. And so I wanted to look deeper. And so this morning, actually, I felt like he took me deeper into that place. And so I looked up dwell, like to see, because I thought, okay, I need to see what that even means, dwell. And so what does it really mean to dwell? So I took some pictures on my phone of the definitions, but I looked to see where did you talk about dwelling? Like, I know it's in there. I know you talk about it a lot. I know all those things happen, but where did you talk about it? And the first thing that I found was in Deuteronomy, where it says eternal God is a dwelling place. And I thought, okay, because I've known it was a place in him, but I was like, no, you are the eternal God, and in you are our dwelling place. And then in the word dwell there, with my very, very basic paleo, but it's and so the word is Kedim Elohe Meonah. And so Meonah is the word. So it's about the waters that can see like the seed of life through his breath. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna dwell. You are my waters can see the seed of all life through your breath. And so I sat in that this morning and thought, okay, this is where it is. It's where all things are possible through your breath. And so I loved that. And then I went on to see, I thought, well, what's the first time it was used in the Bible? And it took me actually to Cain, which I thought was interesting. So it was a negative, and it was kind of a negative context where it says that, let me look here real quickly. So that it's whenever he kills, and so he has to leave the place. But it talks about he left and he went to dwell somewhere else. And so I realized, oh, we have this choice, right? Like we can dwell in you, or we could dwell somewhere else. And we don't have to dwell in him. He doesn't force us to dwell. So even though we are part of him, we are part of who he is, he doesn't force us to look and to dwell in that place. We get the choice to dwell or to leave that place of dwelling. And then the possibilities, like the place where all things are possible. I can either dwell where what I see is what I get. I can dwell with, this is just circumstance, this is just life, this is just how things happen, and I can go down from that and get really down. Or I can dwell in this place where everything is possible, where there's nothing within him that's unreachable, where I have access to the fullness of all that he is and all that I am and all that you are. Like I can have access to that for everything. And so in that, it took me back to a couple things I'll share real quickly. But again, I looked at a different word for dwell because it was a couple options in there. And that let me see if I can find it. I know I took a picture, but in there, oh, the word. So this word was Yod Shin Beit. So I was like, oh, this is literally a house made of the fire that and the teeth that make me who I am. Like I'm gonna be, so it's a house where if I go in, I can be there. My dwelling can be a place where the trueness of who I am, where I'm broken down to my lowest form of, which is my highest form, my most basic, everything that I'm made of. I can dwell in that place. I can live in that place of fire, and that place of cleansing and being only who I am, where nothing that I'm not can stand. I can dwell in that place. So that tied back to dwell as well. And so I was just taken into this option of to say, okay, I never thought about, we have an option, but we have this option of possibility and where we stay. Do I want to stay in the mundane? Do I want to stay in what is? Do I want to run from him? I have all those options, but I want to dwell in possibility and all that you are, where everything is, where you're as big as you say you are, where you're as much as you say. And we've been talking about just the togetherness a lot, like how, just how good it is to be whatever. And we've been laughing and having a good time, but in that, to go every time one of you laughs, every time one of us tells something, there's a new possibility, something new that bursts in us through that oneness and through that togetherness, where we can really be there. So that's really what, I mean, literally this morning, what he's been talking to me about is this place of dwelling, where it's sealed the deal, where it's like, I don't have to, I mean, I'll still go into my tent because it's a good picture for me. So I'll still go into my tent because it feels good, like my little tent in my mind, because it helps me just feel like I'm like, it helps me get there with where I am in him. To sleep there at night. But I thought, no, every moment, breath by breath, we dwell in the seed of, like, everything, the work of all that he is, the seed of life in this place can come through the fire and the breath, and we can live here, we can dwell here, we can be here. And yeah, so that's what he's been talking to me about this morning, which was awesome. So I was really glad you had asked about this, because I thought, okay, like I've been saying that phrase for months now, but I'd never dug into what is it till he woke me up this morning and said, do you want to know what that means? And I was able to say, yeah, I guess if I'm gonna repeat it like I guess instead of just reciting a poem, we should know what we're doing here. I don't know. So, so it was a good
Who knew?
invitation. Who knew? Who knew he
Who
had
knew?
something to say? So it was just such a lovely invitation
Oh my
into him,
gosh.
into the dwelling of who he is. And I thought it was super fun to do that while y'all were in our physical dwelling, and to do that while we had people in our physical dwelling that
Yeah.
to take in with us, and then here, and then thinking of specifically of Carmen this morning. For she was the one that I kept bringing in, going, yeah, everything's possible. We're
Yes.
coming up, like we're going in together, and even though we've never physically met, that we're going in together with all these that we know and love and have come to connect with. So
That's so beautiful.
and I'll share one more thing.
Yes.
Is that I did think too, because there's like I said, Jen and I and Jeannie are all on, but there was another friend that was there, and I did think, how many times is something said here or something said in another group or another place or in our families where we take that in and it becomes a part of us because that person was a part of what we did. And just, I mean, it could be anybody. So the conversations we've had here, how many times will this go forward and ripple out? The conversations online, how many times will our online conversations ripple out?
Yes.
And then that, and in that we become more one, we become more, we're doing our part we're doing our part to be on earth, to bring him to his presence, to the physical earth, to bring his life and his words, and that'll ripple out and ripple out and ripple out through each other. So it was a good morning. So thanks
That's
for
sounds
asking.
like it.
Listen,
Right?
I need to think every day, what do you want to say today? I'm not good about that. So yeah, so
Oh,
it was
that's
a good
really
conversation.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, it really reminds me of that whole, it is the living space of resurrection realities.
Yeah.
You know, of actually that part of that verse where it said that Jesus knew they were stuck in a different world or a different dwelling because they kept asking the same questions. And that when you said we have a choice to dwell in that place of union and oneness with him, or to dwell in a different realm, a different idea of what the framework we've set. I just thought, wow, Father, every single moment in every single situation, we have the choice to just engage that aspect of ourselves in that place of union, the reality of who we are, you know?
Yes.
So that is so
Yeah, it's a
beautiful.
choice to go into the tent. It's a choice to go into and it's not just possibilities, all the aspects of who he is. We have a choice to go there or not. And as I think he just opens, he's completely open to us. We have access to all that he is. And so in that, which places, which routes we go. And it's like, I don't feel like I could, there's not enough days to go into all that he is on the, in this week or in this whatever. But if we all are going to different places within him, and then we're sharing that, well, then it's like we've been there as well. So just like you said, you're sharing the trip with everyone as we go to different places in him, and then either just unite together by heart or whether we have conversation. So everywhere that everybody's been here within God, I love to hear that. I love to hear those voices coming, because it's one more place that maybe in my, in my days this week, I don't have enough time to think about where I am in him. But if you've been different places within him, different truths, different pieces, it's a way that we can dwell, and then we don't get stuck in that place of asking the same thing over and over. We can keep moving forward.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And isn't that the picture of like the voice of many waters, right? Like we're coming together, it's mixing, it's rippling out. Like that's the whole concept. The voice of many waters.
That's so true. That's so true. That's so